One of the biggest problems, probably the biggest problem that the Western world faces, is that there is no unifying truth. There isn't that one thing that everybody can agree on. There's no vision and there's no understanding of why we are where we are and what needs to happen. There's no clarity. And that is a bad place for a society to be in. Now, of course, you want a healthy society to have a whole range of different views. You want it to be debating amongst itself and having these healthy, productive conversations. But there needs to be an attachment and a commitment to certain truths and values, and particularly truths, what's true and what's not. Well, nobody knows. That's our biggest problem. So what to do about this? Well, first of all, what's the cause of this? Now, as I've remarked on so many occasions, and it really, really, really frustrates me, is I see that we're all victims of the information war to one degree or another, but I still see too many people too wrapped up in information, and it leads to a confusion, a fear, and quite clearly a lack of clarity. What do we do as human beings? How do we communicate to others what we think is going on in the world? What's our primary way of observing the world and, talking about it to others? Well, surely it's what I'm seeing right now. I'm in the back garden, right? This is all I have right now. This is all I have. I'm looking around. There's a holly bush there. That's a laurel bush. There's a birch tree over there. There's some washing on the line. The house is over there. There's a couple of sunflowers there. I'm going to step out the door when I go on my morning walk shortly. I'll probably see some of the neighbours, and there won't be an air of division. There won't be resentment and mutual suspicion. We'll chat. We may well chat about everything that's going on, yeah? But there won't be nastiness. There won't be shouting at each other. There'll probably be more unity and understanding. Now that straight away, that goes against the narrative of the media, doesn't it? And what we're all told, that this world is massively divided and that we shouldn't be trusting each other and that we're pitted against each other. Straight away, I'll go out, I'll go for a walk into the countryside. I'll see gorgeous countryside. It's quite a cold day for the time of the year, 1st of September. So I'll be thinking, yeah, it's a cold day today, but it's a beautiful day and everything's still in full bloom. Probably in a couple of weeks, well, one or two of the leaves on the trees are just starting to turn as we will begin to usher in a new season of autumn. And then I'll meet some of the other people who I've met, some new friends that I've met, and the atmosphere will be good. I'm sure it'll be positive, and these themes that we've all become submerged by: fear, division, animosity, anger, all these things, I know they're not really going to present themselves today. And why is that? Well, because this is my world, isn't it? This is my primary world. In fact, this is my only world. Everything that I see on a screen, I don't know the vast majority of the time whether it's true or not, do I? I don't know. The only things I know, the only realm of information that I can say 100% this is real, is what I'm seeing and hearing. I hope you understand the point I'm trying to make with this video, because as I've remarked so many times about the crowd that calls themselves awake, I don't know how true that is, because people, and I include myself in this, I'm aware of it. I am aware of it, although I've tried to take steps to really pull myself away from the grip of information, but call themselves awake, but are so incredibly enslaved by information that is untrue. And the fear that's resulting from that, and the inertia. As I've said all along, the solution is so incredibly simple. It's frustrating. It's so simple, it hurts. It's let's spend more time away from our screens and away from information than consuming it and looking at the screen. Let's practice non-compliance, and let's practice active civil disobedience, which again, that's not hard. Peaceful civil disobedience, which you can do in the early to mid stages of a totalitarian regime, is very easy. You just go and talking to people, and again, you're then able to get an insight into what the public mood is, because you are talking to the public. You're not leaving yourself open to forming an opinion that may not be accurate because of videos and clips that we're seeing on Telegram or Facebook or whatever it is. Which is why, and I know I differ to many others, I believe the majority woke up months ago, and quite clearly now the majority have woken up. They are aware on some level of what is going on. Whereas many people, I'm still hearing the same, oh, the sheep won't wake up, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, of course there are a significant percentage who are just falling deeper and deeper and deeper into psychosis. But what about the flip side to that? What about the hundreds of thousands of millions of people who aren't? And if you go and chat to people, you can see that. And the other thing is that everything now is... it's almost like this is what's happening, and that's it. No, this is what is happening, and we all need to be aware, and we need to tell everybody else what is happening. Well, again, there needs to be a degree of skepticism, because anything that we're not seeing with our own eyes and hearing with our own ears, we cannot say for sure this is what's happening, and we certainly can't say this is what's going to happen. I have, as you know, my own thoughts that I've elaborated and elucidated on my channel about where I think we've come from and why, who we are and what values we have as a society, why we don't seem to cherish the sovereignty of the individual and the dangers and potential opportunities that lie ahead. Of course, I have my own ideas, but I derive my inspiration by what I see. I just watch people. Yeah, I will look at take into account the effect of the media. Of course, I take into account the effect of social media. I've written about all this in my book. But the best way of judging a society and then your own place in it is just to watch. Just look. And part of the conditioning, and the ones who call themselves awake are as much enslaved to this conditioning, is that we've become conditioned to not trust our own eyes and ears, because I actually have more faith in humanity than a lot of other people seem to have, because I can see that since last summer so many people have opened themselves up to what we've been saying. And we've all been saying different things, but we've all been honest with what we've been saying, and then they're seeing real world examples to back up what we've been saying. But what I've been saying is based on what I can see. I remember doing videos last summer. I remember doing one where I went into the supermarket, and I think it was just after the mask mandate had been brought in, and I was just utterly appalled and shocked and just sickened by what I could see, and I just talked about it. I didn't need to see a video. I could see it. Does that make sense? And now, though, as time's gone on, I see more positive things. I don't see the vaxxed turning on the unvaxxed. I don't see the unvaxxed turning on the vaxxed. I didn't see evidence of people in masks turning on people who weren't wearing masks, even though I think I had 4 occasions where it was challenged. But four people out of how many? And don't worry, I put them all straight. I really did. And if anyone crosses me, I will put them straight, because I won't budge an inch towards a totalitarian regime. I will not. But once everything becomes, oh, that's distraction. I mean, that's another one. That's distraction. Well, why is everything a distraction now? What if we come from the point of view that if we can acknowledge This is what we need to do. If we can acknowledge that there may be, in fact, that there is a grain of truth in everything. So there's 100% truth in what we see because we can see it. And let's say if and when we do consume information, let's imagine that there's a grain of truth in everything. Then we can begin to stitch together all these different sources of information. And I'm not arguing that we don't need to consume information to help us form an opinion. Of course we do. But that's our secondary resource. These are our primary resources. So yeah, let's imagine that there's a grain of truth in everything that we see and hear. We then begin to stitch together, a tapestry of, well, what we think may be happening, and then we can then further deepen and broaden our perspective, and then we can talk about it. But I don't know necessarily whether this is happening, because it's almost like there's a template that's going on that the sheep don't know about. We know about it. It's very, very, this is what's happening. I don't buy into that necessarily. I see one of the reasons why we're in this position as well is because, those who have captured the narrative and captured the positions of power, the communists, they thrive on apocalyptic outcomes. We saw it with COVID, we see it with climate change, we see it with what they say about racism, and everything's apocalyptic. They have no faith whatsoever in humanity. They're very, very, very misanthropic people. They hate people. They hate people, and they believe that humanity really doesn't deserve to exist. That must be why communists love killing people. Right. Well, we have to have faith in humanity. Are we going to really go down that path as well? We have no choice. So we have to find a unifying truth. And in order to do that, let's remember, the only world that we can comment on and talk about with a degree of authority is what we can actually see and hear. Everything else, we don't know for sure. There's a grain of truth in everything. Let's start off. If we start off from that perspective, there's a grain of truth in everything. Well, straight away, you're able to identify a lie. I believe it's easier for a population to coalesce around a lie, but to expose a lie, you've got to be open to everything. And like I say, let's see, there's a grain of truth in everything we see and hear. It's easier for a population to coalesce around a lie than it is to agree on what the truth is. Yes, absolutely. But let's not fall into almost like a narrow-minded cult. Let's not do that, because that's really not good, is it? Now, another thing is that a lot of people have made a choice on a particular issue. As was their right, people could either choose to go with the medical intervention or not. I've chosen not to, and I have good reasons for it. Now, let's remember, though, that many of those people now may regret making the choice that they've done and want to be included with us now. So let's not turn them away. They're not the enemy. They're not. If we can just all agree on one thing, that's what we need to do. I would suggest that one thing that would be good to agree on would be freedom. How much do we love our freedom? Let's talk about how much do we love our freedom. That's what I would like to say, because I think that's something that everybody can get behind if done in the right way. But just to sum up, I think we need to be very, very careful about becoming so enslaved by what we perceive to be figures of authority, by certain sources of information, and giving them a very, very high degree of credibility whilst dismissing others. Not liking the fact that we've been subjected to these apocalyptic narratives, whilst at the same time buying into apocalyptic narratives. There's got to be some faith in humanity. There's got to be some degree of truth. I believe there is more unity out there than most awakened crew would have you believe. I really, really do. And my position is shifts all the time. I don't believe that most people understand, or a lot of people understand, just how simple this really is. It frustrates me it really, really, really frustrates me in that, let's remember, as individuals, we have our own little world. That's what our world is. That's our truth. Let's talk about what we actually see in our lives, not what we see on our phone or on our laptops. That's somebody else's world, and there's a degree of truth in it. But what we see and hear, that's real. So let's tell the world what we see and hear, what conversations we've had, what hopes we have based on what we can see and hear. It's dead simple. And I think we've lost sight of it. I really do. So let me know what you think of this video. I hope the point I've made is coming across in the right way. I am having a little bit of a frustrating, you know what it's like. I get frustrated. I do get frustrated. Like I say, the problem's deep and complex, and will take a long time to properly resolve. But in terms of seizing back freedoms that have been lost, it's so simple. It's unbelievable. But I don't necessarily. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, but that's my view. Anyway, all right. I'll speak to you all soon. Have a great day. Yeah. Bye bye.